Hi there, I'm Paul from Roleplay News, and this is my Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance review. Let's get into it. As a setting in the Forgotten Realms, the land of Icewind Dale offers a great deal to the already initiated. And after discovering Baldur's Gate back in the holidays of '98, I was fixated with D&D in general. Discovering the Drizzt novels in the early hundreds, my love for the realms got even deeper. Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance promised to be an amazing title, but did it live up to the hype? Well, what Tuque Games have delivered has the potential to be a great dungeon crawling looter. It just doesn't quite meet its expectations yet. I know I'm late to the party and that wasn't intentional, but Dark Alliance has gotten more hate over the last week or so, and I'm here to tell you that it's not all as bad as it's made out to be. Yes, the AI is a little basic. Yes, it's annoying that in multiplayer you may not get to play as the character you've sunk your hours into solo, but that aside, Tuque have delivered a game worthy of the Dungeons & Dragons brand, with an extensive backstory for each character, and a bestiary that has more knowledge than that guy at the back of the Geek Cafe cramming for his next campaign in Myth Draenor for the 100th time. Although a completely different take on the prequel Dark Alliance games, Tuque has managed to set up an engaging and respectable world, which has the little geek in me hitting fangirl screams on the regular. Moving away from the isometric style games, Tuque have gone for a third-person action RPG, and this, in my opinion, fits the style well. Now it feels much more like Lord of the Rings War in the North, which reminds me, I need to play that game again. I've run this game both on my PC and Series S, with very little difference. Yes, my PC runs the light effects better, but there's something about hitting a goblin upside the head on a big TV that never gets old. From what I've seen, the vast open spaces have no issues rendering. And whilst I had issues with my character taking a little bit of time to load, it wasn't something that made the game unplayable. Playing with my headset on had me listening to the crude insults the goblins made, or the confusion of a troll trying to work out where you darted off to. Some of the more subtle noises I had noticed were the licking of flames or the snap of fabric as the wind waves a flag in the breeze. You could tell a lot of thought had gone into these things, and it makes the game so easy to immerse yourself in. So my time within multiplayer was limited to 2 sessions, mainly because of my low level characters getting kicked, or the host was using the same character that I'd soloed with. But from what I did get to play, I enjoyed it. Yes, there are a few issues connecting, especially if you're not in the same continent as your friends. But it adds in a lot of fun elements, such as co-op kills, offering different kill animations, and everything just seems to be easier, as though that is how the game was meant to be played. The footage in the background is showing the second session I managed to jump into, and the guys pretty much wanted to do a speedrun for the goblin boss. This paid off for me, but I'd recommend enjoying the game with friends. Icewind Dale is a massive realm in Dungeons & Dragons, and this can be seen on the map screen when choosing the missions. The missions themselves can take some walking around, and typically take between 20 to 40 minutes to complete solo. As for the landmarks in lore, I don't think I've ever come across anything mentioned, levels or places, in the previous Icewind Dale games. That's not to say they aren't connected to the tabletop campaigns for D&D in general. Regardless, this world of Icewind Dale is one that is too easy to get lost in. I only wanted to play for 30 minutes last night, and it took me till 1:30 to realise that time was quite literally slipping away from me. There are 4 characters currently available in Dark Alliance, although there's really only one that you're here to find out about. Drizzt Erden, the Drow Exiled Ranger. He has a focus on DPS and can use critical hits to amass some impressive damage. He's the guy to go for if you like the playthrough to get a bit shady. His high risk, high reward approach will have you constantly hitting that top companion spot. Bruenor Battlehammer is the group's tank, and is pretty much unstoppable once he gets started. The Dwarven King offers a great starting point for those who like to meet the enemy head on. Wulfgar, the Barbarian King, can cause some serious shockwave damage. Slow and heavy hitting, once he hits his target, you know about it. The strength-based character is fun to play with, and Optimize will always be pushing for that top companion spot alongside Drizzt. And lastly, the character I chose, Catti Bree, the human archer, ward of the dwarves and adopted daughter of Bruno. Easy to use, and with the added bonus of keeping the enemy at range, you will find the support class playstyle rewarding, especially if you're playing in co-op. Although it's slow at times, the combat system is deceptively simple. Light and heavy attacks that can be chained together to increase the damage output. Adding in parries and counter-attacks provides another level of awareness, though with most enemies I found it impractical to time my parries right. I got to do them perfectly one-on-one, but when fighting 3 or more enemies it got sloppy quickly. Elite form enemies are shown with the little medal near the health bar, and these deliver either poison, ice, scorching or curse. alongside their basic attacks. Watch out for these and make sure that you focus on them first if you're in a bigger scale battle. Overall, I would say that the combat system was enjoyable, but there were some frustrating things, such as the enemies would sometimes defy physics and fly over to the other side of the map, or sometimes even glitch through the floor. Although it is still a bit rough around the edges, I believe Tuque have addressed this in a recent patch, and it will be one of the focuses for upcoming patches. Whilst I appreciate that RPGs include a lot of walking between objects, I feel like Dark Alliance delivers the perfect length of time between encounters or enemies. You're only ever walking for a few minutes at most, and the environments are littered with puzzles and chests to occupy the adventure in me. Periodically, your party is offered the chance to camp to restore consumables and get a checkpoint, or push on for a higher loot drop rate. Whilst this was useful in the higher difficulties, I did manage without the need to camp, instead finding potions and consumables in loot boxes periodically. And one thing that I like about Dark Alliance is the lack of microtransactions. It's all too commonplace nowadays to support a studio with cosmetic upgrades bought with real cash. Whilst I'm all for supporting developers, I believe sometimes they ask too much of us as gamers. All the gear skins available in the store are bought. Whilst being the unpopular opinion, Dark Alliance does offer a lot more fun than I expected, even just as a pathway to larger Dungeons and Dragons worlds. Yes, it has had teething problems. Yes, what came in the box wasn't perfect. But Dark Alliance has way more potential than what is being reached right now. I'll definitely be So there you have it, a recommendation from me. If you like this content, please give it a thumbs up. If not, let me know how I can make it better in the comments below. And if you want more news, walkthroughs, tips and reviews like this, consider subscribing and clicking that bell. My Inner Geek thanks you. Until next time, have a great week, and game on. Yeah.